Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Foodcaster. I'm Michael, and today we have Sam Eats Plants. How you doing, Sam?
I'm well this morning.
You are well this morning?
Yeah. I am.
You are?
I am.
I got some questions, Sam.
Yeah, tell me.
Transitioning.
To?
I would like to say just a healthier lifestyle.
A healthier lifestyle.
There's tons of labels.
Okay.
You know?
There are, you're right.
And you were breaking down that, oh, well, if you say you do this,
yes,
then there's more that goes along with that.
Absolutely.
And we could even talk about that as well. But first,
okay,
I want to talk about transitioning. Just looking at the data.
All right.
Look at the information and saying, I don't want to eat any more junk, and I want to pull back.
So what's the best way to do it?
Yeah,
or
how
what
do you
are
do
different
that?
ways to do it?
There are different ways to do it.
I'll say that. There's different ways to do it, and
Okay.
everyone is different. Everyone's
Okay.
unique, and some things resonate with people more than others.
Okay.
And some things can encourage 100% compliance more than other things for different people. So personally, I took transitioning to a health-based lifestyle. I'll say that first. And granted, though I may eat vegan, it was a health journey that brought me into it. So a long time ago, I ate everything. I love the good and the bad. Like, I loved fruit. I loved my cooked veggies. I loved my beans and stew peas. I love my oxtail and my curry goat. I love my ackee and saltfish. I love my pancakes with blueberries and fake blueberry syrup on top. I liked my biscuits. I liked everything. I liked gravy, sour cream. So it was everything. Now, I'm saying this because...
So you ate food?
I ate all food.
Or what you thought was food?
And yeah, it's food and food-like products.
Okay.
And a lot of it. Like, I ate a lot. A huge amount of food. It was ridiculous considering how young I was and my size. But I'm also mentioning this because I've gotten this question before. How do you change your taste buds to start preferring fruit or like some vegetables? And I didn't have to change my taste buds for that because I like those too.
Okay.
So personally, I didn't go through trying to like healthier foods. I like them too. Okay. It was breaking addictions that was my first journey. So number one that I did, I went to fast food places multiple times a week, at least 4 times a week, the big ones, right? Get my burgers, get my nuggets, and get a soda regularly with the fries. So first thing I tried to do, this is right after college, was to stop drinking soda. And soda was my favorite thing to drink. Like regular soda.
So that was your first plan of attack?
My first one.
Why soda?
I think I had seen what the acidity of soda actually does to things. I think that might have been the catalyst, why that one first. There was a lot of things.
That's the scientists in your family.
I guess so.
That makes sense.
I guess so. Because there was a lot of things I knew I wanted to change, but I was overwhelmed. I was like, I like all of this. What am I going to do? So soda seemed to be the one where I could just drink something different, but I was addicted. Like, it was hard. So, yeah, I think I saw what it was doing to teeth, how people actually do use the concentrated form to clean jet engines.
Wow.
And just knowing that, and I was like, oh, it's in my intestines. Oh, my goodness. So
I heard if you pour a particular product, soda product, on your car, it actually takes off the paint.
I didn't,
allegedly.
You know, maybe.
But
it seems about right with what I know about the acid content. Like, put an egg inside of soda for like, I think just a couple of days. Like, the shell, it's like no more shell.
Wow.
Yeah. It eats away at calcium. But anyway.
So that would eat away
at your enamel in your mouth. Yes, it does. Soda eats away at the enamel on your teeth. Absolutely.
So how did you do it? Did you just cut down, or you just...
I had to start cutting down. I couldn't do it right away. And one of the first things was trying to not get a soda if I went to fast food places, which was hard because to me they went together. My burger went with the soda. So that meant I had to actually stop going to fast food as much because when I went, I couldn't even help but want to get that soda. I finally came to a point where I was like, okay, I'm not going to buy it. So I won't bring it into my home. I won't bring it in my home, and I won't buy it anywhere. But if it's out there, I'll drink it. If it's at a party, at a wedding, or whatever, I'm going to drink it. And this was like a year. Like everything I'm telling you, I did this in like a whole year.
Did that also go for the fizzy, like salsa? Because I heard that just anything carbonated is not good.
Apparently, but I don't think that is completely true.
Okay.
There's something with phosphorus, like taking some phosphorus out of our body with carbonated drinks, but I don't know if that's completely true, so I wouldn't stand here and say don't do it.
Right.
I don't think it's completely true. But anything that's carbonated with sugar and dyes, okay, stop. We all know what that's doing. So yeah, it took me like a year just to get to a place where I wasn't like going crazy thinking about soda. And I think 2 years before the addiction was gone, where I didn't look for it at all. And now I would never touch it. So that was like one first step for me that I did.
Never?
No, I don't want it at all. You know those bougie sodas though? There's like these bougie sodas that are like sweetened with like watermelon juice and fresh ginger particles. I'll drink those because they're fun. But I mean, do people really consider that soda? I mean, it's soda, but it's not soda.
It's bubbly.
There's no high fructose corn syrup and there's no dyes. It's bubbly with something sweet in it. So,
gotcha.
Different type. I'll drink that, and that's for fun, not because like, ooh, I want it. Like, oh, they have this at the party. I'll drink that instead of water. I usually drink water at weddings and parties. I also don't really drink alcohol, so that's a thing.
So, what you would recommend, based on your own journey, pick something that is not the best for you.
Yes.
Or bad for you. You just know.
I'll say bad.
Bad for you, and target that one thing, and wean yourself out of it, and get to the point. I will not.
If you're that type of person, there are all or nothing type of people that I have to acknowledge. There are people who are like, I have to not do this at all. And if they break it, they end up like doing a whole bunch of it. It's really interesting, but it's a true mindset. There are people who are like that. Some people I know personally went vegan in a day. And I'm talking about vegan from an awful regular diet. Like I don't like any fruits. I don't like tomatoes. I never eat vegetables.
Wow.
And they went vegan in a day just because of the animal ethical part of it. And then they were just like, I don't know what to do, but I know I'm not eating animal products. And literally, they were kind of stuck there.
Right. And that's interesting because they had an extra energy to say, I'm not going to do it versus just
health.
Just health.
Actually, it wasn't about health at all. One person that I speak of in particular, her name is Kim Julie. She talks about this on her Instagram, that she completely thought that a vegan diet was going to kill her.
Wow.
She really thought it wasn't healthy, but she didn't care because she didn't want to support the cruelty towards animals. She had no idea that her migraines would soon go away, that she would like have better sleep. She didn't even know all these things were going to happen. She actually thought it was not so good for her, that she was going to have to just take a lot of vitamins and just deal with it and have issues that come up. So that was interesting for her because she ate a terrible diet. Terrible diet. She grew up in Germany, a lot of meat and cheese, no vegetables, not because she's German that she had no vegetables. She just happened to not eat vegetables. But I say that to say some people are all or nothing. I am not. So if anyone who's listening is like me, where you need time to get into it, take your time. I'm going to say the next thing that I did around that time was to start buying certain things organic. And so I saw which were the most sprayed and the most harmful when it's not organic, and I decided to change those. So that was grapes, all types of berries, yeah, I think those were the two. And then things that were roots. So carrots, potatoes, or ginger, because it's in the soil.
And added that to your diet.
And made sure when I got that, it was organic. Remember, I ate everything. So I ate carrots.
Oh, okay.
I used ginger. I'm Jamaican. I used ginger. I definitely ate potatoes, of course. But roots and tubers are in the soil, literally sopping up anything that's in the soil. So if they're not organic, that is where a concentration of pesticides are. So that was one of my next steps, which is easy. It's just changing what I'm buying. I'm buying the same thing and just making it organic instead of not organic. So that was like step 2. Step 3 was changing how I ate animal products. So this is me still eating beef and dairy. I decided to make all my dairy organic because I read extensively about how our dairy is produced. It's disgusting. And I was like, there's no way I can eat this unless it's organic. And so I changed all my dairy to organic, and I made all of my meat the grass-fed BS stuff that I want to talk about, humanely raised.
But it's a start.
It was a start.
A start of consciousness and looking at things differently.
Yes, and I felt different. Even still eating that stuff, I started feeling, I don't know how to put into words, lighter, but not lighter meaning like not as heavy on the scale, but almost like, let's say that our body isn't completely solid, that a little bit of air might permeate and pass through. I felt like I had more air passing through. I don't know how else to describe it, but there was some type of lightness that came with it. And I was still eating meat and dairy, but I was cooking more. I also had to learn how to cook. I also learned how to cook. I don't know who can or who can't cook out there, but I did not know how to cook until I was like 24. So I was way older. I guess there's some people who are like 50 who can't cook though, so.
Some people that live their life not being able to cook.
That's so true. So I would suggest if you can't cook to start learning how to cook. If that is someplace on someone's journey. One is cheaper.
Right.
Two, it's just going to be healthier even if you eat pretty crappy. It's going to be healthier because you're not going to use as many oils and you won't have any additives because the additives are kind of sold at like food marketplaces for restaurants and stuff. So, yeah, so that's another way to start going into it. What did you try to do? If you're on your own health journey, what did you try to do?
Well, I gave up pork and red meat on a dime, and I never looked back.
Why and how?
I was inspired spiritually to do it. It was my journey, my story. And it's not until months later I actually recognized the physical difference.
Oh.
Because I didn't do it for that. It wasn't about, I hate to say, it wasn't about the animals. It wasn't even about trying to get rid of junk. And because I still was eating, I don't want to name the restaurant, but you know, the fish sandwiches and all that other stuff. So I'm thinking I'm eating healthy.
Yeah. And
doing the right thing. But it's not until I started to really add the vegetables and these other things. And so I felt good. I didn't know I felt good, but I wasn't focused on it.
Yeah.
And then when I realized, oh, I actually feel kind of good. And when I took a step further, it was like, oh, wait, I feel even better. So that whole lightness that you described, that's, I mean, even when I run, I feel so light versus And
for anyone who's changed their diet for the better, you know exactly what we're talking about. For everyone else, I know you want to feel what we're talking about.
Yeah, you want to. If I would say, like, if I could bottle this and just give it out, I wouldn't even. Well, I probably would be smart to sell it, but it would be nice to just have the whole world feel this. In fact, and I know this is not a political show, regardless what what party and this and that, but I think. Not even I think, I know, once you start taking care of yourself, the love that you start feeling you get to a point, all you want to do is share it. And expand on that. So the whole world would change. And we've said this before, diet is so personal. Just like faith is personal. And but it is important. So that's where I started, and it was just a reaction. You know, the feeling, the physical feeling, the mental, the clarity.
Yeah, the mental clarity.
I can't go back.
Wait until you do cleanses, like juice cleanses or raw cleanses, and you talk about mental clarity.
Okay.
I mean, zing, zing, like it started getting so sharp. Wow. And then the first time that you eat like regular food afterwards, you're like,
Well, since you joined on, and there's beautiful conversations that we have and we share with the world, I've given up dairy.
Excellent.
And it's interesting because I still get congested, but it's not the same.
won't be the same.
Yeah.
And then there are certain plant foods that can lead to congestion for some people. I can say personally, wheat does it for me. Now that I don't eat dairy, I can see exactly what does it to me. Wheat will do it to me, and so does soy milk.
Interesting.
Like almost immediately, soy milk does it, but I don't care because I really like soy milk more than any other milk.
Right.
But I recognize it does do that. So if I'm in, if there's something I want to do where I'm going to be speaking, I just make sure I don't eat any wheat or soy milk. Like I just don't want any of that nasally thing going on, and then I avoid it. You know, one of the other things that might be an easy thing for some people to avoid if they're trying to make better decisions is stop getting things with dyes in them. Like
interesting.
Food coloring.
Yeah, what's this whole thing? Does it matter? It's just coloring.
Oh no, it matters.
It matters.
Oh, it's extremely harmful. So the food colorings act like a neurotoxin, so they directly affect your central nervous system and your brain.
Oh, really?
Directly. So things like behavioral issues sometimes can be cleared up by taking dyes out of someone's diet.
Now, I worked with special ed in the educational system, and I've seen a couple documentaries where they say that you change a child's diet, some things will clear up.
Yeah, it depends on...
It's not all just the parents. It's not all just, well, they were just born this way. It's the diet as well. Yeah,
the diet's typically the biggest part of it, or the only part of it. It depends on the child and the person. There's a lot of factors. But diet is one of those things that we do every day. So it's not like, I guess like learning how to swim. Like, and you have a lesson once a week. And then you like, okay, you acquire, you get yourself used to the water, you know what you're doing over a few months because you did it once a week. But diet is every day. So your body will start acclimating to whatever your diet is, but you're doing this like 3 times a day, every single day. So it hits harder. So diet is the biggest component of ADD issues in children, ADHD issues in children and adults, even in not being able to concentrate. That's diet too. But the food coloring itself is specifically a neurotoxin, or some people say excitotoxin. It promotes hyperactivity and hyper like movement in how like things are going off in your brain, which could also lead to the rambunctious behavior that's happening in the classroom. So these are things like the cheesy type of doodle type of things that cheesy doodles, those cheese tortilla chips, any sodas that's not clear. Any soda that's not clear.
What about ginger ale?
It has dyes too. It has dyes. You can just read the back. It has dyes to make it look like that little color. Let me tell you a little joke that some people do at restaurants, because I've worked at many. When someone wants a ginger ale and that place doesn't really have it, and people don't feel like telling them we don't have it, they take the clear soda and mix it with the brown soda just a little bit. And no one can tell, but do you know why? Because the sodas don't have anything in them except the carbonated water, the sugar, and the dye. So even ginger ales are just, they're fake. There's no ginger in ginger ale. There's one main ginger ale brand that has real ginger, and it's the only one that says we use real ginger. Every other ginger ale, there's no ginger in it at all. It's not in there. So you just have to add the other sodas and get
That's so terrible. Actually, you know what? Because we always do this segment where we raid my fridge.
Do you have soda?
No, that's not soda. Well, good thing. I don't want to be yelled at today.
Oh, yeah, because I would. I'd pour it down the sink. You want me to look at this guacamole? So you have packaged guacamole. That's fine. I mean...
Is it okay?
It's fine, but there's nothing better than making your own, but it's fine. If it's in a package like this, you know there's a little bit of preservatives in it. That's all.
Okay.
So you just have to be aware of that. And making your own guacamole is really easy. It's like 8 minutes.
I love making guac. In fact, because I'm so good at it, if I must say myself, I don't even like that anymore.
No, I can't. I don't like packaged guacamole. I also remember when you never found packaged guacamole anywhere. But everyone's so into avocados now. You know, the gentrifiers are the avocado toasted the whole nation.
Right.
Like, I was having avocado on bread when I was like small because my parents ate avocado, but like now it's a thing.
And it wasn't expensive. It was very inexpensive.
Well, certain avocados still aren't so bad, like the Florida avocados.
Oh, okay.
That are more watery, less fatty. Yeah. It's mustard.
If I want to spice up my life,
so
talk to me.
Mustards in general, even like the most commercial mustards, typically are fine. None of them have sugar in it.
Okay.
Speaking of transitioning to a healthier diet, along with getting rid of dyes, one of the things I did eventually was get rid of anything that had high fructose corn syrup or corn syrup as an additive or as an ingredient. And then that evolved into anything that had sugar at all, because I realized that how all of them act in the body is the same anyway, but I didn't know it back then. Start looking at everything you're buying. Condiments are the worst, but mustard doesn't have sugar or any sweeteners ever added, even the most commercial brand. So mustards are typically fine. You just want to see how much of the preservatives they put in, and like this one doesn't really have any because it has things that won't go bad, like apple cider vinegar's in here, salt, which acts like a preservative, horseradish, which can act like a preservative, and like spices, which also help preserve food. So if there's any preservatives in there, it's clearly not enough for them to have to write it on the bottle.
Okay.
As long as it's like less than 0.2% of everything, you don't have to write it down. I don't know what that is.
Ginger.
Just ginger and water?
Boiled ginger.
Incredibly anti-inflammatory. Highly recommended for people with joint pain, arthritis in any type of way. Inflammation anywhere. You just got a concussion. You bumped your knee, it's swelling. Twisted your ankle, it's swelling. Ginger it up. It is extremely effective in calming down inflammation. Also very effective to get bacteria out of your system. So if you're sick, if you don't want to feel like you're having a cold anymore, yeah, things like that. So I do want to talk about some other more transition tidbits. If that stuff, I want to really say start reading ingredients. Start reading ingredients of everything you buy. It will start being eye-opening. So if you already don't read ingredients, look at the back, look at the labels, and when you see things that are not a food item, this is another idea of transitioning. Maybe you want to do this first. Maybe it's not soda for you. Maybe the first step you're going to take is to only buy foods that only have food listed in the ingredients list. If you see citric acid, don't buy it. Lactic acid, don't buy it. Maltodextrin, don't buy it. Dextrose, don't buy it. Saccharin, don't buy it. Aspartame, don't buy it. None of those are food. If you can't place where it was grown, don't buy it.
No, I feel if I can't spell it.
I mean, but some people can't spell like horseradish. So I don't. But if you can't place where it grows from,
Right.
don't buy it. Because what's dextrose? I know what dextrose is because it's my thing. But if you don't know what dextrose is,
If you can't grow it.
and you don't know what plant it comes from and where it was grown, well, don't buy it. And I think that's a great way to start because it already knocks out some of the worst marinara bottles or the worst ketchup you can get or the worst bread you can get. And then it forces you into buying at least bread that's less processed and has less preservatives and less chemicals in it.
It's funny you mentioned that because I actually ran through my kitchen and I also raided a relative's kitchen. And I started reading everything. And the amount of things that were not food that I took for granted my whole life.
Child.
That I was like, wow, this cereal's really not food.
Cereal's one of the worst.
Your face.
The healthy cereal, too.
The healthy cereal.
Yeah. They all have sugar in it.
And the canned goods, which we could talk about on the next segment.
Canned later. Yeah.
Right. But it's just, forget the canned aspect, just the fact, reading the ingredients. And you're like, wow. And fructose, corn syrup is in so many
It's
things.
in everything. So specifically, I want to go back to condiments because I made a comment that that's where they'll get you with the sugar. There is added sugar, if you're lucky, just sugar, but usually it's like fructose corn syrup, fructose corn syrup, whatever. There's sugar in jelly, in jam, in ketchup, in so much. The syrups, unless it says pure maple syrup.
Right.
If it just says pancake syrup, it's not maple syrup. Look at the back. It's corn syrup with food coloring.
Interesting.
That's what it is. So the ones we're all used to growing up with the commercials on it, none of them are maple syrup.
Wow.
None of them are maple syrup. They're all corn syrup with dye. If you're gonna get syrup, get maple syrup. And then this is what people will say, it's expensive. Yes, don't use a lot of it. A lot of times within the real food world, some of the most expensive things still aren't the best ones for you, like vegan ice cream, like maple syrup. And that to me and to everyone should say, that's when you don't use it as much. We should not be dousing anything with maple syrup. Use it gingerly. Be thankful it's expensive to keep you from going overboard.
You know, the commercials got us. Because as kids, you would see the pouring the maple syrup and the
Possibly.
animation. All the little animations when you pour. I mean, that's what you did.
I never liked a lot of syrup.
Really?
Never did. I liked a lot of butter.
Oh,
I put butter all over my
So you were that kid.
A lot of butter and a very little amount of syrup. But I was never into condiments like that. Like I don't like mayonnaise.
Okay.
I don't like a lot of condiments. So y'all out there, like don't get a certain type of way because it's expensive. Just understand, because like, you know why? You know what's not expensive? Rice. You know what's not expensive? Beans. You know what's not expensive? Bananas. You know what's not expensive? Broccoli. All these things aren't expensive. So if maple syrup's expensive and you're going to complain about it, ask yourself, how much should you really be eating of this maple syrup?
Right. Also, staying out of the hospital.
So when we talk about expensive, talk about investment, talk about long-term vision.
Right.
I never use price. And believe me, I've been like paycheck to paycheck from out of college. I never use money for a reason to eat improperly. Because that's my number one priority, because this is the only home I have. This is the only home I'm guaranteed in my whole life, is this body. So I have dedicated my priorities to that. One, it's my eating, and then two, it's getting sleep, and three, it's activity.
We're going to leave it right there, because that's beautiful. That's, wow. That's mind-opening. Explosions.
Drop the bomb on it.
Well, I'm going to hug my home right now. And thank you so much. Tell everybody your social media.
You can find me at Sam Eats Plants on Instagram.
And she does.
I love
Michael Seven. Michael, thank you so much for watching Foodcaster. And yes, we're going to do a part 2 to transitioning to healthy lifestyle. And we're going to talk about research and also family and kids. How to get the kids to enjoy food, but still, hey, this is the fuel. This is the fuel.
Yes.
Energy.
Yes.
All right, you're watching Foodcaster.